Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is going to be an overview and somewhat of a review of two new planars on the market. One is an IEM, one of course an over-the-ear headphone with the Moondrop Para and 7Hz Timeless 2. 7Hz was a very popular IEM in the first version of the 7Hz Timeless, and I think a lot of people are going to enjoy the 7Hz Timeless 2. The musicality of this is just so emphasized in that sub-bass region. It does have just a lavish and textured sub-bass region that you would expect from a really nice planar. And it's just this dark, chocolatey, velvety bass that is just apparent in everything you listen to. I think male vocals and female vocals actually sound quite good on this set. In things like Nirvana Lithium, when there's a lot going on and a lot of instruments and a lot of vocals, you do have a little bit of loss of separation and layering. But overall, the soundstage being a little bit closer to you, a little bit more intimate, and that lavish sub bass, I could see a lot of people enjoying these for music listening purposes that are into hip hop, rap, etc. A very fun IEM, and that does carry over into a single player experience. And the nice thing about gaming is imaging in general happens to be quite good in a horizontal plane. I do lose a little bit of verticality, though. I think that when somebody is above you and somebody is below you, you do lose the ability to perceive exactly where somebody is above you and below you. It kind of becomes a little bit too muddled in that regard. And for that reason, not something right now until I test them again, maybe later on, without a head cold, that I would put on a Wallhack certified tier list. Also, when a lot of sub bass is just protruding through things that are happening in game, in Apex, when a lot of ultimates are going off, a lot of grenades are going off in CS2 or Valorant, etc., you do lose a lot of that detail in other regions, such as people popping shield cells. It becomes hard to hear light taps on metallic type things, or people reloading and other sound cues in more of the upper region. You do lose that perception and that urgency of those kind of just smacking you as an audio cue. Overall build quality, they are light and they are actually quite comfortable. The only thing that I would point out is this circle does kind of protrude at the top here. So as you are trying to get the IEM, the main shell into your ear, sometimes that faceplate does hit your ear, which did cause a little bit of discomfort. Once you get them adjusted appropriately, or at least once I did not have a problem at all. So a pretty nice aesthetic to them, a little carbon fiber plate with accents of blacks and golds. And I do think overall, a lot of people are going to enjoy the IEM, particularly for single player experiences and just music experiences with that, again, lavish and it just accentuated sub bass region, and just a really nice, buttery, smooth bass that you would expect from a pretty solid planar. This IEM does have something I've not seen before. It does have, of course, interchangeable nozzles, which we've seen before, but one of the nozzles, I've never seen a nozzle in this shape or with this design. It's kind of got this little dome shape on top, and you can see the little cutouts there on the top of the IEM, or on the top of the nozzle. And it's pretty interesting. I would kind of be curious to hear how those sound on other IEMs and how they kind of affect sound delivery. But overall, the tip that I preferred for gaming-related purposes was the dome-shaped silver, not the gold. And again, for imaging, pretty solid and just an experience in game that is a lot of fun if you are looking to play a single-player game with a really nice tuning for that purpose. Moving to the Moondrop Para, it's quite different. It still has that bassy planar texture to it, but everything is much flatter. It's more neutral. It's more balanced. You don't get this sense like you do on the Timeless that the sub bass is very boosted, but it does sound fairly good. Again, it's just more of a flatter experience. Headphone actually is quite a bit more analytical than the 7Hz Timeless 2. The bass is much more accentuated and I shouldn't say necessarily accentuated, but more voluminous on the 7Hz Timeless 2. You notice it immediately. And in, again, something like Lithium from Nirvana when a lot is going on in instruments and vocals and bass guitar, drums, etc. It's much more easy to separate those things and pinpoint them on the Moondrop Para compared to the 7 Hertz Timeless 2. And that does carry over in game. You hear people with much better depth perception. You get a nice sense of verticality. Imaging on these happened to be very good in game, and overall the separation wasn't bad at all. For competitive gaming, I actually did not have a bad experience on the Moondrop Para, but it wouldn't necessarily be in my top 3 or a Wallhack certification tier list. But for somebody who wants a nice planar in that $300 region with competitive features that actually do work quite well, the Moondrop Para happens to be a pretty solid headphone. I do think build quality here, you guys can see the ear cup. It just has a very cool design to it. Very large around that 100 millimeter planar driver, which looks really cool. And then it has this translucent, where the connector is for your cable. It is translucent, which I think just kind of pops with a nice aesthetic there. You guys can see the headband, which you can adjust on the left and right side. And then it kind of has like a HE 1000 SE looking headband here on top. I think it's quite comfortable. I didn't have any comfort issues, but I would note that the ear cups themselves are quite heavy. But again, once you get it adjusted properly, I didn't have an issue with it, but I would note that for people that maybe do. There's just a little bit of swivel here with the 2 joints on the left and right side, which you can obviously adjust around your ears when you need to, but not a massive amount of flexibility here. So again, I didn't have any comfort issues, just things that I'm pointing out for you guys. The headphone does come with 2 different ear cups. One is fenestrated, one is not. I prefer the fenestrated for gaming, and it's got a pretty cool system here that's very easy to swap those out. You guys can see, again, that driver there, and it just has a little magnet system. This little metallic piece that does fit in the ear cup, you can just get it magnetized back on there, and it is good to go. So very easy to swap the cups. And the cups are quite comfortable, but they do have a bit of squish. So when they are kind of on your head, your ear will get a little bit closer to that driver. But again, I didn't really notice any issues that I had with that. The headphone actually does have a lot of scalability as well, like a lot of planars. When you do hook these up to some very juicy power, I did notice gains going to my Burson Soloist 3X GT with just richer bass, more separation and depth, and just better technicalities. On my A90D, D90 SC, I thought they played and handled quite well. Again, I think a planar headphone that does have some good properties for competitive gaming and an enjoyable music listening experience. Again, more clinical and sanitary than the 7 Hertz Timeless 2. I would say that the upper region at times can, to me, it sounded a little hot, a little sibilant on certain things, but that did kind of change on different amps and DACs, so I would keep that in mind as well. But I think a more sanitary sounding planar than something like the 7 Hertz Timeless 2, which is something that's really just packing with, again, a more intimate sound stage, a lot of punch and just theatrical action sound to it. Like when you think of, Die Hard with Bruce Willis and all the explosions going off, that would be a pretty damn fun IEM for that. So that's that for now. I will test these when I don't have a head cold. I think the Moondrop Para will be working pretty good if you wanted to transition it and use it for competitive gaming. Again, wouldn't be in my top 3. And the 7 Hertz Timeless, because of that separation, layering, and verticality, I don't think I would put it on my list. But again, a damn solid IEM for anybody looking for a nice single-player planar experience and a great music listening experience, again, if you're into that emphasized sub bass. So that's going to be it for this one, guys. I hope it helped. If it did, please leave a sub to the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next review. Peace.